so we can share it with others. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited tonight to have the opportunity to introduce our guest. Allison Votruba is from St. Louis, and she is a pediatric cardiac ICU nurse. She's also a pediatric heart lung transplant coordinator. She's a wife, a mom of two beautiful little boys, and she has a third little baby on the way. And she's also a senior sales coordinator with our Juice Plus company. She has a passion about challenging the normal health pattern of American families, which is so interesting. And I had the pleasure of hearing Allison speak at a special event here in St. Louis, and her passion just explodes. And you're going to be so excited about hearing her story, why she was introduced to Juice Plus, what Juice Plus has done for her and her family, and her passion for challenging the normal health pattern of our American families. So welcome, Allison. We're so happy to have you this evening, and you'll just take it away and share your story and enlighten all of us on your passion and your mission.
Hi, yes, as BJ said, I am Allison Votruba. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I am so grateful to be asked to share with you guys. It's so exciting to be able to jump on your team's call and get to share my heart and our mission as this whole one team, one mission we really align with. As BJ said, I'm a pediatric cardiac ICU nurse by training. I did not go looking for this in any way, shape, or form. I met my very cute husband in a bar on a Monday night about 10 years ago. And that meeting changed everything for me, because at the time I was living in Manhattan. I was working in the pediatric ICU and working full-time nights. I was in my very early 20s, and I was living like most people do in New York. I never once went to a grocery store. We ate at food trucks and carry out. And I grocery shopped at the Rite Aid underneath our building, which is like Walgreens. So you can imagine what my diet looked like. But at the time, I was really young. I've always been thin. And so I thought of myself as a very healthy person. I never had any health issues, so to speak, but I had all the chronic stuff that people tend to deal with. At the time, I never was even thinking about the link between nutrition and disease. I was young and naive and really cocky. And so I was attributing health to thin. And because I just assumed that I was healthy. And then being trained in the medical profession, I realized later, once I got pregnant with my first son, that I knew a lot about medicine and pretty much nothing about health. And that was a big eye-opener for me when I realized that I had been trained to treat disease, and I had been trained to help in the case of trauma or incidents. But the concept of feeding my body for nourishing this baby and for optimizing a healthy pregnancy, I was a little out of my depth, and I really didn't even know where to start. It wasn't something we focused on. It wasn't something we talked about. And it was a really interesting realization that for years, I thought I knew a lot about health when really I knew a lot about disease, and how those are drastically different things. So I did not realize it at the time, but when I met my husband, I married into a Juice Plus family. My mother-in-law is Jeanette Votruba. My sister-in-law is Tori Davies. Jeanette is a 100 Club National Marketing Director with our company, and my sister-in-law is a 39 Club National Marketing Director with our company. So I kind of fell into this. It just happened that I was invited into this community, and it really wasn't until I was pregnant with my first son that I actually started listening to anything. I was too smart for my own good at the time. I thought that I knew everything, and my concept at that time was, if it was that great, I would have known about it. That was very much the mindset that I came from. And so it took a long time, and it took Wendy Campbell, of course, before I really opened my eyes. And it was coming to a lecture by Wendy Campbell, and she started talking about research, and she started talking about data. And that was the language that I spoke. That made sense, and that resonated to me differently than stories. And when I started hearing that, it shifted things for me. And the more I read, the more I learned, and the more excited I got, but I also got angry that I didn't know this earlier. How is this not something we were talking about? How is this not information that we had? And how is this not information we're empowering people with? Because when you know it, it changes everything. And it was just one of those things that you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the knowledge gap exists until you have learned more, right? And at that time, I was learning more, and I was pregnant with my first son. I struggled with hyperemesis with him, so I was throwing up between 30 and 40 times a day for about 25 weeks. So it was a little bit brutal, but I swear that he exists today because of Juice Plus. I was not eating. I was not able to absorb anything. I was not able to keep anything down, but thanks to the bioavailability of Juice Plus, I know that he was getting the nutrition that he needed, that I never could have gotten out of a prenatal because I never had enough food in my stomach to be able to absorb that. It just wouldn't have happened. So, but looking back, there was a time when I was working in the pediatric cardiac ICU, and I was talking to one of my friends who was also pregnant with her first baby. And we were just chatting about food and nutrition, and she is one of our doctors. So she's gone through 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, 4 years of residency, 4 years of cardiac intensive care fellowship, and 3 years of nephrology fellowship. So she is very smart, very well trained. And she looked at me and said, "Are you trying to tell me that you think there is a link between the food that you put in your body and the way it functions?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "That is the most asinine thing I've ever heard." She legitimately was still in that thought process. And this was, my oldest is 4, guys. This is not like he's 20 or something. He's 4 years old. This is brand new. And so that was heartbreaking to me. And that created this passion and this fire, because I don't love my kids more than anybody else loves theirs. I just had better intel. I know something that a lot of my friends don't know. Well, not anymore. People in my life know. But it's one of those things where I look around and I don't want to say that I didn't try. I didn't know better. I didn't tell them. So I had to step outside myself. And this was not comfortable for me. This was not comfortable for me at all. I am a medical professional. That's what I stand by. I come to people, or I help people who come to me. The idea of having to step outside my comfort zone and speak about something that people don't really know if they want to know. They don't necessarily always ask, "Hey, I'm struggling with this, this, and this. Do you know anything that might help that?" That's usually not how it comes up. Occasionally it does, but usually you're having to step in to their discomfort, and that can be hard, and that can create some discomfort for both parties. But in the end, the beauty and the gift that you're giving these people by sharing the power of food, it's not just Juice Plus. Juice Plus is a huge, important catalyst, but it's the knowledge that food impacts our body in drastic and powerful ways. And that knowledge gap, once we know that that piece is there, then Juice Plus just makes sense. But if we don't know how important food is, Juice Plus will never make sense.
So it's really this educating and as we know, the knowledge of what we know, and then sharing that with others and educating them and making sure that they're aware of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's been very much my experience, because I think a lot of times people think, people want to give me a hard time and tease me about the way that I feed my kids specifically. My oldest is 4, my littlest is 2.5. And like tonight, we had big salads for dinner, and my kids are thrilled. They're very, very happy with that. No one is feeling deprived. And it was funny because I did buy ice cream at the store today, and my kids asked for a bowl of ice cream after dinner, and I gave it to them. And it's these little ramekins, these tiny little bowls that maybe fit 1 spoonful. And my oldest said, "Oh, that is too much." And my littlest said, Can I have a pickle instead?" And so it's totally just creating their palate and creating their experience. And I don't have to feel like I'm depriving them. They know better. They've made choices, and we're educating them. And I get to partner and align with them in toddlerhood to know things that I didn't learn until I was in my late to mid 20s. And that, I think, is going to set them up with a lifetime of health rather than struggling through a lot of these things and finding health later in life when we've experienced these. They, I'm hoping, will experience a lifetime of health. And do I think they're ever going to get sick? Of course. Do I think that things are going to go wrong? Absolutely. But do I think that I'm arming them with the information and the foundation to succeed physically? Absolutely. I mean, we have yet to have a sick visit or an antibiotic or a prescription in this house. And for me, that seems so normal. It seems like, well, of course. But when I look around at all my friends, it's not normal. Most people are, especially in these years, they're in the pediatrician's office 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year minimum. The number, I mean, this past winter, I don't cancel play dates. I don't have to. My kids aren't sick where I need to, but I feel like I'm having play dates canceled on me constantly because people's kids are sick. They're sick all the time. It's a round robin. And they don't know better. They don't know, oh, I had no idea the antibiotics I was putting my kid on was affecting their gut, which was then putting them at risk for more infection and disease, which was then causing them to need a steroid, which was then suppressing their immune system, making them more susceptible to another thing. And so it creates this whole cycle. But if people aren't aware of it, how do they know to break it?
I agree with you 100%. Let's kind of move to the other side. I have some key questions I really want to hear your answer. As a very busy mom of 2 babies and another one on the way, you know, what is the secret to building a thriving business to a senior sales coordinator? What is your secret? And maybe you'd like to share your DMO. What does your week look like when you're working and talking to people? We want to hear how that works for you.
Okay, well, there are no secrets, that's for sure. It is an issue of time management. It is choices and it is intention. That is definitely where I live. I don't watch TV. My husband works a lot of hours, and so I'm alone usually at night. And I do build my nights and for this business, and that's very much time I carve out. My kids are a little bit older now. They're a little bit able to partner with me in a lot of it, and they like to come alongside me and engage in this conversation, which has been really fun. I definitely plan out my week, and it has to be intentionally built for team and who needs what and on what days, and then customers and prospecting. Most of my life is prospecting, but my prospecting is play dates and parks. And so that is very much time. That's just time with my family as well. So that doesn't feel like my job, right? That feels like life, and it's an opportunity. Now, just today I started a mama boot camp. And so that has been an awesome way to meet. I have these new people that I didn't know or I hadn't seen in years who showed up at the park to work out with me today. And that is definitely going to be a huge base for me to get to talk and share with these women. And so I think some of it is getting creative and tapping into, okay, what do I want to do? And sometimes it's not finding the group, it's becoming the group, it's creating it. And that's something that I've realized more and more is if you want to step into someone else's group, you definitely have to be happy to align with the way they run it. And if you want it to be focused on food and family and fitness, then step up and make it, because it's not that hard. So that's been fun. I do a lot of 3-way calls. Our team does a lot of 3-way calls. My team does not tend to be local. I didn't grow up here in St. Louis. I lived all over. And so I run my life off of Voxer. I don't let anyone go dead on Voxer. I engage my reps, whether they're active or not. Try to engage them at least 3 times a week on Voxer, so that chat is always active and they don't forget about that app, because that app is game changing. And being able, but what happens is people stop checking in on it and then it falls to the wayside and it gets deleted. But as long as you stay active and I think connected with them, they never fully disengage. And it's really, I think, easy to pull them back in one way or another if they aren't super active. So those are, I think, my main things.
Okay, that's interesting. So all your team members are on Voxer, and that's your major means of communication.
without a doubt. And
it simplifies, simplifies your business and your life as well, correct?
Well, yeah, and I've kind of drawn a line where if people aren't willing to get on Voxer, then they're not really willing to do this business, because I absolutely want to work with whoever wants to work. But if they can't download a free app, then it becomes way too much of a time suck for me. And I can't do that. So if they want to reach out and engage me another way, I will always respond to a text or answer a phone call, but they're definitely not going to be on the front of my mind for building in. So when they're ready to download Voxer, come on.
Okay. Thank you so much for that message. Another question I have for, our Juice Plus Live conference is coming up very quick. It's 60 days away. All right. 60 days this conference. So what's the question I was going to ask you? More importantly, I'd like to know your value of our conference and how you relate that to your team. And then what's your experience in getting your team members to attend?
Yeah, I think that's an awesome question. And I think it's hit or miss. I think our conferences are amazing. And I think every time I go to one, I'm so, so grateful I'm there. And Kurt Beavers was just talking this morning about how he said he offers everybody that he brings, that if they did not feel like they got their money's worth, he will always give them their money back. He will pay them. And he said, never once in 30 years has anyone asked for their money back. And I think that is so powerful. And that is exactly how it feels. Even if you have to move heaven and earth to get there, you will not regret being there. It is so powerful. There is nothing like feeling the community and feeling the energy that exists. The stuff that is said from main stage is powerful and it's important, but more than that, the relationships that get built and the energy and the community that just exists there is something that you can't mimic other places. And it is really neat to go somewhere where everybody is so excited to be there. Everyone is so grateful for what the company has done. Nobody is talking negatively about anything. We're all so excited about this company and being here. And I think that's really powerful. So I love conference. It's such an awesome thing. I wouldn't miss it. That's for sure. I think for my team, it ebbs and flows, right? Whoever's in is in, and whoever's not is not. And if they want to be in, they're at conference. And so there are seasons that people have to step in and out. And I understand that. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves in that if we can't be fully present in this business, then let's own that. And you do what you can do in that time. But if you want to build a business and you want to grow something with this, then you need to show up at the main things, and conference is the main thing. So I am excited to get more team down to Phoenix. I think it's dependent. I have an easy time, obviously. For St. Louis, we had 15 people plus there. For Indy, it was easier. For Phoenix, it can be a little dicier because people are dealing with financial investments, but every time you pay out, it's going to come back over and over and over again.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. We are all excited about our conference and the 25 years of Juice Plus. I mean, it's just going to be, this whole year is just full of celebration and what our company is doing for all of us and how we continue to grow. Yeah. So that's all the questions that I had. Sharon, do you have a question that's maybe come up along the way that you'd like to ask Allison? Anybody else? Go ahead, Sharon.
Well, thank you, Allison, for being on the call tonight. I love meeting you. Love your mom and your sister-in-law, mother-in-law and sister-in-law. It sounds like you are very passionate. If you could put an hour, I love what you said about most of your time is spent prospecting. And I really wrote that down because as a senior sales coordinator, you don't see yourself as arrived. You're still building your team and you're prospecting. So do you make a list of people? Tell me what you do.
I think it kind of depends. My world is pretty open right now, given our life. And so I feel like today it's 60 in St. Louis today. So I hit 3 different parks with my kids. And one of those parks, I was bringing this new mom group. And so I knew that was going to be a really great prospecting opportunity. There was one park that was kind of a fly by the seat of my pants. So that was definitely not intentional. That was more so like, okay, let's see who's here. Let's see who's here and who wants to talk. And I think that can be really fun. I usually do have a running list, absolutely, of like who I definitely want to touch base with and who I want to be intentional about connecting with. But my mother-in-law is the queen of prospecting no matter where she is. And I am nowhere near as good as it as she is, but she will talk to every single person she knows, and every single one of them wants to know more about Juice Plus. And that's the thing. If you are excited and active and engaged, people are excited to hear what you're doing. And so I think that's been really, really cool to see. So I just try to take a page from her book, because she's been unbelievably successful and she's obviously very good at it. And I think a lot of her time is spent being out in the world and not looking at your phone, not looking at your book, but truly just engaging in the people who are around you, because they're put there for a reason.
It's good. That is good.
And it's very good. I also loved where she, you know, if you're looking for an event or something to go to and maybe it isn't there, you create it. You create the invitation, and you create the event, and you bring people into your life. So I really love that as well.
And Allison too, I think for those people on here who maybe don't have the children that could go do play dates, you correlate that to doing what you love to do. If you love to walk, you do a walking club, hiking club, reading club.
Exactly.
Something that puts you out with people.
Coffee dates, wine nights, book clubs, no matter what it is, it's just stepping into community, stepping into groups, gyms that you go to regularly, certain classes. All of these things are going to provide opportunity for you to meet people and connect with people.
All right. That's wonderful. All right. Well, Allison, I just truly appreciate you. We all do. We're just so thankful that you've joined us this evening. You've been a true blessing to each and every one of us. So thank you. So I just, you know, just very thankful that you joined. I don't know what to say. We're just very blessed that you're with us. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your joy in our Juice Plus and sharing your family life with us. We greatly appreciate it. So.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I loved getting to share with you guys, and I hope to see all of you at conference.
We'll look for you.
Yeah, we'll look for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Have a good week. Finish February strong. That's what I'm going to say. We close in business this week. Finish February strong.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.